What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Martian and Ozzy podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about the UFC card going down in Nashville, Tennessee. This weekend, headlined by Rob Font versus Cory Sandhagen. Decent fight night card going down. 12 fights. So we're going to talk about them all, talk about the betting lines for you all. And I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Ozzy. How we doing this week, my man?
We're back. We're here again. I was talking to, I was asking Martian, how many weeks in a row are we at, or are we building towards? And I'm not gonna lie, they're wearing me down, boys. They're wearing me down. So if I take a personal day or a personal week, know that it was this is why even Dana White took a vacation like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. So, but we're here. We got in the UFC Nashville, obviously Nashville, up emerging city in the States. One of my good friends is a graduate of the University of Vanderbilt or Vanderbilt University. So I'm a fan of the state and the city. So yeah, I hope to attend one day. So it looks like is this the first time they've been here? They were here last year
No,
as well.
a fun fact, Ozzy. I was actually at a UFC Nashville back in
Uh-huh.
2015. Glover Teixeira
Ah,
submitted
uh-huh.
OSB.
He
Um,
submitted what, like arm triangle or guillotine? What the fuck
yeah,
he
arm
submitted him?
triangle, I believe.
Arm
Yes.
triangle. Arm triangle. Damn, in his home state. Damn, he couldn't let him
Yeah.
have that one.
No, he
Wow,
could not.
Glover.
But,
Nice.
that was fun, and, but there's no this weekend's fight is a catchweight? I did not know that, but,
140, yes.
did not know that, and, one thing you said is, you might take a break, but you're certainly not taking a break after the week we had last week. Very, very good. I don't know if it was a good week overall, but it closed very well for you, Ozzy, right? Your 3 top dogs, Alex
Oh
Pereira,
yeah, it
Justin
was a great
Gaethje, Terrence
bro.
Crawford.
Last week was great. Yeah, it was a great week. Only person that shit the bed was Michael Chiesa. We called, the
Mm,
guy being a flake. That was horrible. I personally did bet a little bit of Kevin Holland in round two, so I thought that Chiesa would do something in round one, avoid. But he looked god awful, and it was just so pathetic, dude. Like when you're a jujitsu guy, when people claim they're a jujitsu person, I feel it's like not because of how good you are at submitting people. It's the fact that nobody like it never even enters the guy's brain that they want to like offensively grapple you. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't like maybe you could shut me down because you're wrestling and stuff like that, but never will you ever want to fucking shoot on me and like initiate grappling. That's what I feel like a jujitsu guy's like top, thing on their mantle. And for Michael Chiesa to just, fold like that, I mean, the guy's just pathetic. I mean, he should really retire. That was just if I was the coach of a guy like that they just tap like that easily, that's just insane, dude. Especially when you're doing all these interviews. I feel great. I'm making a title run. Shut up, dude. You just look so corny, unauthentic, and that grinded my gears a lot. But obviously, we ended up pretty well. So yeah, it was a great week last week. Even the prelim cards, even like a bunch of leans, like Vergara, or I did play Vergara. I think some
Kopylov.
totals. Hopilov, yeah, had him. That was nice. And a few totals as well. I'm forgetting them right now, but yeah, it was solid overall. And then Terrence Crawford, obviously, brought it all home and served it up nicely.
Yeah, it was a profitable good week for me, not as good as you. And yeah, Michael Chiesa, Ozzy, I had a parlay. It was $10 to win
Ooh,
3,470. 9 out of
oh,
10, 9 out of 10 legs won, except for that
wow,
bitch ass Michael Chiesa.
wow. What
Could have
was the
been
biggest? What was the biggest or the longest odds on that? Other than Michael Chiesa, like, do you
it
have
was
any other
like
plus money?
Gaethje, Pereira, one of the underdogs that won on the prelims. I forget. It was like a few totals, like both the under 1.5s, couple of big favorites like Green and stuff like that. But
Mm. I do
um,
wish I did more on like the Justin Gaethje by knockout. That was just like they were kind of disrespecting. And the strategy, guys, is anytime Justin Gaethje is an underdog in a cage fight, you just bet him, dude, because it's usually gonna come out on top, man. Like, or you're gonna feel good about it along the way. So the guy is money. He's
that
he's
is
an
true.
amazing fighter, one of my favorites of all time, and I'm very very. That was one time when I'm very genuinely happy for like a guy in MMA. That was
Yeah,
good.
I saw the line get pulled. I saw it on the live line. I knew something was gonna happen, but never did I expect it to be a Justin Gaethje head kick. That was
And
great.
obviously a regret of not being on the Black Beast at that big price. And you give, 2 plus 250 on Derek Lewis to knock out another human. Probably a plus TV. But also, and then the Bomb Fiend under. That was a nice one. That was a
that
kind of
was a good
obvious
call.
spot. And then the one thing that I did miss was the Flowers. Or I actually like the over, but some people were very sharp on those. And we called Matthew submission as well. So it was just good reads last week, but I
But
didn't
the
really
under
invest
lost.
in.
You
No,
know
the
that, right?
over one. The over one.
Yeah, by like
No,
5
I said
seconds.
yeah. I think I called the over, right? Didn't I call
Oh,
the
yeah,
over?
I thought the
I
over
don't
was good,
remember.
but, enough
But
about that, though.
that was good. That was a solid card. That was a solid card though.
It
So
was,
I
yeah,
I like that.
multiple knockouts.
Hmm.
Seeing Tony Ferguson get hurt was great. Love that. And that's gonna bring us to, first of 12 fights in the flyweight division. UFC debutant Asu Almabaev taking on Ode Osbourne in this one. Asu is the favorite, minus 191, taking on Osbourne plus 166. Asu getting steamed a good amount. I think he opened in like the lower minus 100 range. Uh, and I think this team is probably right. I mean, the guy doesn't look amazing. He looks like a control grappler, a typical wrestler. Um, hasn't fought a ton of good opponents, but to me, O'Day's defensive grappling does not look good. I think if you watch the fight against Kelleher back in the day, really bad stuff there. Got briefly taken down by Charles Johnson. Just hasn't really fought many grapplers, so you don't have a ton of an idea on what to expect here. But I don't expect good things here. I think Asu's going to take him down and probably going to grind him out. Might even submit him in these later rounds because Osborne kind of gives up his back. I could see him scrambling recklessly and getting choked out in the second half of this fight. So I'll lean Asu sub in the second or third round. Anything for you here?
I'm not sure too much about on the side here in terms of at what point is the juice no longer good because I don't got the ultimate good handle on Mr. Kazakh here, Asu, but I'm going under 2.5 here or fight does not go to the decision. I feel either this guy's gonna be grappling a lot and putting pressure, or O'Day's just gonna be swinging for the fences. And even when he's on his back, sometimes late not really a guy who's just holding guard. Like he throws up arm bars, he goes for triangles, he's throwing punches from the bottom. So, he'll go for a stupid submit, he'll pull Gilly, he'll get pulled into a Gilly. So I'm going under.
Yeah, I agree. Asu's striking is bad, so I mean, O'Day's going to have an advantage of the feet, and I think he will make something happen if it's not going his way. So I agree. Does not go the distance under, and those late sub props are good on Asu there. Moving along to a short notice fight here. Dennis-Buzukja taking on Sean Woodson. Odds for this one have Woodson minus 175, Buzukja plus 150. Line hasn't been out for too long here. Um, any initial thoughts on this one? Very late notice fight.
Long Island's finest, one of Long Island's finest. Does Dennis Bazooka finally get his opportunity? I don't know what's going on with the UFC. They made this other poor kid Santos fly to. He got to Atlanta. I think he got on like 3 different planes. Rode two camels, crossed like a river or two, and he gets to Atlanta, and then they're like, no, no visa. So then they go to Dennis Bazooka. But why they get this guy all those flights in the fucking first place? Why don't they just call our boy in the first place? I don't understand. Um, I think here another fight. There's gonna be a finish. I was skeptical on Woodson from that last fight. I was giving him a little bit of a mulligan just because it was like an altitude fight. The fact that Luis Saldana fights are always strange. Something weird happens in them. He got dropped, and it was just a strange fight. I don't know really what was going on there. But Dennis, on the other hand, Dennis, his cardio to me looked a little sketchy in that third round against even that Romero guy. Didn't like it too much. Even though he won the fight, he was just really exhausted. And that's with that Romero guy kind of really looking to take him down at some points. Like, it was not really a high paced striking affair where I do think the fight with Woodson, likely could be that. Woodson goes to the body pretty well as well. But Woodson's there to be hit, and Dennis, in early, especially early, when he's not getting like spam attacked and then having to defend at a high rate. I think he should be able to put a good power on his strikes. But I do think Dennis will look to take Sean Woodson down here within probably the first round. In my opinion, he is a member of the short shoot box Northeast shoot box cartel. So yeah, I think he'll look for a takedown. But I do like kind of Woodson maybe to finish this late. Either way, I like the fight to finish. So I'm going under. 2.5 again.
Yeah, that line
Whenever it comes out. Whenever it comes
it
out.
is out now. It's plus 155, so I'm
I'm
sure you
in.
like that.
I'm in.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that the tempo of the fight will be high. Buzukja, uh, first of all, the last season, the Contender Series, I think 49 guys won their fights or something like that. 49 fighters. Bo won his fight twice, but I think 43 of them got signed. And like Buzukja is like good friends with Aljamain Sterling, the champ. And for some reason, like the UFC still doesn't sign him. So they clearly did not like what they saw from this guy. Finally giving him a chance here on short notice. And this matchup, I don't think is good. And Ozzy mentioned that he should be looking to grapple here. I definitely think that's his best chance to win. But the guy doesn't actually grapple that often. It seems like he doesn't really have a good idea on what he is as a fighter. He tends to strike a good amount. I think his clinch striking, distance striking is okay, but I just think he's kind of sloppy and gets a little overzealous in there. But the guy's been active. He's been winning a lot of fights in promotions, UAE Warriors, CFFC. Pretty respectable promotions. So he's definitely going to be ready for this short notice opportunity. But I just think this is not a good matchup for him at distance. I think Woodson's a lot cleaner. The big cage here should be good for Woodson because he's got more room to maneuver around. And I do kind of agree with Ozzy that this fight's probably going to go under. I just think that Woodson is going to put some hands on him, dig to the body like he likes to do, and very short notice fight. Uh, I think I do like the ITD and the under better than any Woodson money line too, because if the fight's going his way, he's probably going to pull away with it pretty heavily in the second and third round. So I'll go with Woodson 2-3 KO. And next fight is going to be in the men's flyweight division again. Jake Hadley taking on Cody Durden. Odds for this one: Hadley minus 205. Durden coming back plus 175. I did a good amount of tape on this fight. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think you gotta say that Durden is the side before the fight. A couple things point to that. Durden's last three fights, I think he's been severely undervalued in all three of them. He was pick 'em to JP Bays, knocked him out right away. He was like plus 170 to Mota, 30-27, grinded him out to a decision. Plus 150 to Charles Johnson, 30-27, grinded him out to a decision. So the guy has a pretty clear pattern of being underrated lately. And Hadley, I think, is a little maybe overrated in the market because he did come in undefeated. Yeah, British fighter. Um, got smushed in his debut versus Nascimento, and I think there's a lot of similarities to that Nascimento fight. I mean, Durden is a very reliable wrestler. He looks to wrestle and grapple in all of his fights. You know that he's going to come in here optimizing his chances to win, looking to hit takedowns, and he is the much better wrestler than Hadley. I mean, watching Nascimento hit some double leg takedowns there, Hadley goes right down. He does not have any takedown defense for double legs in open space. So I think that's a big part about this fight is where the takedowns come. If Durden hits takedowns against the cage, I think Hadley's going to work his way back up to the feet. He's going to separate and he's going to get back the distance where Hadley is much quicker, much more comfortable, and hits harder and has the distinct advantage at distance. So if Durden can hit the takedowns in open space, that's where I think it's really good for him because you see Hadley go to his guard. You see him put the body triangle in from the bottom. It just doesn't seem like he can really scramble in open space. And he also does tend to give up his back. Cody Durden's back takes have been looking a lot better lately. He hit a lot of them versus Charles Johnson. And there were times in that fight where, historically, Durden kind of slowed down. He had the body triangle, standing back takes. You're thinking, oh, his legs are going to burn out. He's going to gas out. He powered through it really well and was able to hit takedowns at key times in the second and third round to win that decision pretty clearly. So I think Durden is getting better at powering through those cardio problems. Some were showed in his early career, and I just think Hadley's takedown defense is too bad to be laying any juice on him here, let alone minus 200. So I think Durden money line side and his line by decision is very good. I really don't see Durden finishing the fight, so I think this one has a good chance to be Durden by decision. If Hadley is winning at all, I think it will be by finish. So maybe Durden decision only when that comes out on DraftKings as well. So really fun fight here. I'm looking forward to this one a lot. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Ozzy.
Yeah, I mean, action wise, I am down to watch this. Investment wise, not for me. Like I said before, Hadley's just a weird, strange guy. I feel like Durden is our version of Jake Hadley, right? Our American version, right? Little weird. I think kind of when he's approaching the fight. I feel that he does good work. I like it. Look, and I like some of his grappling game. He actually did a lot of the takedowns and control and work that he was doing. It reminded me of like what Pat Sabatini, Sean Brady, a lot of those, takedowns they do against the fence. They kind of, have that body lock. They're tripping you, kind of using that snatch single, right, jabbing, and then taking a high crotch off that, doing the crackdown, and a lot of nice wrestling maneuvers, definitely by Cody Durden. But I did feel that his hands really, really slowed down, especially in that second round of that fight. And I just feel that if he is at range in that big cage, instead with a guy like Hadley, who I think is going to be more anxious to pull the trigger than Charles Johnson was, and he just hits harder than Charles Johnson. Like sometimes it's strange. Like Charles Johnson, he hits you, and it like him hitting you knocks him off balance. It's weird. He really can't load up on strikes consecutively and stuff like that. And Hadley's pretty precise. I think he has been 5 rounds as well. I think it was against like Luke Shanks or some shit like that in Cage Warriors. And yeah, like his wrestling is not the best. I know, but Nascimento, that guy's a crafty, just I don't know, chiseled. He's a weird. That's an interesting style matchup at that 125 weight class. And I'm not saying Cody Durden's an easy style matchup, but you kind of come across these kind of like wrestler guys here and there. But I think it should be a good fight. I think it definitely has potential for Cody Durden to look like a favor here. But I'll just watch this one. I'll root for Cody Durden. I'd rather him win, but will not get any of my investment. I would also I would also stay away from the total here because like I could definitely see a decision getting written out, or like I don't think there's any edge on the totals.
Um, there is, Hadley KO here. What is that at? It's at plus 350, man. I mean, I know it could be a submission as well. It could be like a club and sub, but I think with the some of the body punching he showed, I think that's not a bad way to play Hadley if you like him as well. So that's going to move us along to the next fight in the featherweight division. We have Damon Jackson taking on Billy Quarantillo. Odds for this one: Quarantillo minus 175. Jackson coming back plus 150. Your turn to start this one off. What are you thinking about this featherweight fight?
Yeah, so two, featherweight fight here, two guys, a lot of experience, in the UFC and outside of it as well. A factor here I think is, Damon Jackson, he's been at this weight class for a long time. And I feel like his style hasn't really adjusted too much. Like he obviously he's kind of like he picked up that knockout against like Pat Sabatini and stuff like that, but his movement on the feet is just not really there. I feel like his legs, his mobility really slows down later on in fights. Some of the strikes that he sets up isn't really it he's just throwing strikes to kind of set up his takedowns. He doesn't really have stuff where he strings out like that's like attritional, right? Like he doesn't really work a significant jab, leg kicks. He's not really like a leg kicker. He like with his pace, even like some of the takedowns that he when he hits them, if he's not able to capitalize quickly, it's sometimes easy for you to stall him out. And I just feel like in the overall MMA game, Billy's just way more apt to be winning. Like even against Edson Barboza, yeah, the guy got knocked out, but it was one shot, boom, put him out. Obviously, it was like one follow up, but it was very strange. I don't think that's like a signal of his chin deteriorating that much. And on the other hand, Damon, I literally don't feel he's ever had a good chin, ever. So I think Billy's super tough to submit as well. Damon, a lot of the guys that he submitted have been kind of like when they get a little bit more fatigued and stuff like that. And if you remember, man, like this, Damon had a hard time holding on to Charles Rosa, dude, at certain points in that fight. So I just don't like him in the fight, stylistically against Billy. So I think Billy's gonna win. Maybe the whole time he's not looking really good at like minus 170, but I don't know. Wasn't he the same price against Alex Hernandez? Like what was it? Or was
Yeah,
Alex
he
Hernandez
was.
he
Same price.
that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, is this that much of a different fight? Like
Yeah, well, I personally think that Jackson is a better a grappler than Hernandez is also much better gas tank, especially at 145. So no, I did bet Jackson early in the week. I've lost a bit of enthusiasm about him, but I still think plus 150 is good here. Uh, Billy is 34. His style has always been kind of getting in wars. He is coming off a knockout 3.5 months ago. So I think just his style for most of his fights is to get beat up for a round and then he's still coming at you in rounds 2 and 3, and he beats you up in those rounds. That's how he's won most of his fights. He's not really ever a guy who puts together like a good 3-round fight. Maybe against Benitez he did, but he lost rounds to to Kyle Nelson and Spike Carlisle, and that's just always been his style is getting in wars. That's just not going to age well, and we saw that in his last fight against Barbosa. Obviously, much different matchup, but like the guy, he just recklessly pressures you, and then he's just wide open for shots. And I think instead of strikes like Barbosa was throwing at him, I think his reckless pressure is just going to lead for opportunities for takedowns here. I think I noticed on the tape is just how many front kicks Billy Quarantillo throws. I mean, he is spamming front kicks with both legs, and it just seems like the guy doesn't really ever have his feet underneath him. Kind of like Ozzy was talking about with Charles Johnson, falling over all the time. Billy does that same sort of thing. So I just think that his takedown defense is nowhere good enough to where I would trust him at this Juice versus Jackson. I think that um, the takedowns will be there for Damon Jackson. I also, the Ige fight was very bad. Jackson looked terrible there, but he also was just trying to strike with Ige the entire time. And I mean, he was never going to win that type of fight. So I feel that he will, go back to his roots of grappling. He's going to know that he got whooped in that last fight because he was trying to strike, trying to be a kickboxer. He's going to go back to the grappling, and he's going to try to grind Quarantillo out here. So I just think that he's going to attempt a good game plan to beat Quarantillo. The way Quarantillo was getting taken down by Gavin Tucker, I think it was pretty worrisome. And hopefully, Jackson's cardio can hold up. I don't think his cardio is bad. I think his cardio issues are a little bit overblown. So I still like Jackson at this plus money. Especially because you'll have a chance to likely exit on the live bets. The best strategy for Billy Quarantillo is just to live bet him after a round because he always has a bad round one. So enough about that one. Welterweight fight next, fun one here. Jeremiah Wells taking on Carlston Harris. Odds for this one, Jeremiah Wells favored minus 127, Carlston Harris plus 107 here. Both these guys are pretty wild fighters, right? They both have, wild moments in the feet. They have good top games. I think they're pretty similar fighters, but I just think that Harris is actually a little more refined. He's much younger in his career, and I think he's, improving a little bit more. While Jeremiah, I was just watching his last fight against Semmelsberger. It's like this guy's been pro for 10 years, and whenever the fight is on the feet, he is just windmilling punches, and like he just fights so crazy, and he doesn't have much composure. And I just think that's a pretty bad sign for being 10 years in your career, and he just still gets so wild in there. I mean, the way Semmelsberger was knocking him down in that fight, I mean, very sloppy stuff on the feet. So I think Carlton, has the edge probably in both areas of the fight here. I think I favor him on the feet and on the ground. Obviously, I think either could get on top here and have significant top time, but I just trust Harris a little bit more in both areas of the fight and cardio as well. I really think if this fight goes, over 1.5 rounds, it should favor Carlson Harris. So we likely see a finish. I think it could be even like a front choke, one of those good chokes that we see from Carlton here. So interested to hear your thoughts here. Fun welterweight fight, Ozzy. Who you got here?
Yeah, both these guys have been good to us. Martian, you might remember when I rang the alarm when Carlson Harris was like pick him against Christina Aguilera, and and that was a big one. That boy, oh boy, was that a big one. And they opened his sub prop at like 3-1. That was insane. So that was I think that was one of the biggest wagers I've ever made. But so yeah, guy's good. He's come in with experience. He's fought a nice, like again, a nice diet of opponents. So he's developed a lot of areas of his game. Not only did you see like that striking right against Gooden, which it was a pretty striking performance, but it was a pretty violent one because he was clubbing that dude. He was hitting up from all angles, intercepting shots, shots where he was going first, in the clinch, his clinch takedown game, if you look at some of his regional tape, is pretty good. He shoots in double legs and takedowns, and then like you said, he has some good, excuse me, submission game when he is on top. But this is a tricky fight for me. Pick him either side, just because I feel like Harris sometimes he has his hands up often, but also like he can get caught with his hands down. And I feel like he does definitely puts himself in danger often. And a guy like Jeremiah Wells has just like such a crazy like bonk factor, in him. And then also I do feel even though whatever with these grapplers, I feel like Jeremiah Wells, he could take down and like literally his first like few takedown attempts, so he's fresh. This motherfucker could get any I think he could take down Jordan Burroughs probably as well. Like if he just running in, like he could just get Carlston down, and then
In a
he's super
cage,
violent from there
right?
in the cage. Yeah, 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 in the cage. That's what I mean. Obviously in the cage, or bro on the street, dude. Would you want to
On the
run into
street.
him? Would you want to run into him in Philly? No.
Nah,
On
it's nah,
concrete? No way. So anyway, like I was saying,
nah.
I just feel like, this is a volatile fight. And in the volatile fight, honestly, Pick'em is probably fair. So if you're going in on Carlston Harris, there's definitely a lot of factors that that he could be good at, but he just needs to stay safe, dude. The longer the fight goes, the probably better it is for him. But this fight could get crazy, and I do feel that these guys are kind of shocked when they get in that cage with Jeremiah Wells. I think they're genuinely surprised at whether it be his speed, his power, his technique, the mix of all of them, whatever it is, dude. Because Samuelsberger, dude, I think he was really surprised that he was like getting taken down so easily and like the shots that the guy was taking. And I think the whole fight just baffled him. And the same thing with Court McGee, bro. Court McGee didn't expect this guy to be able to reach him with that punch. And, just so many times over and over. Like the guy is just surprising guys. So I'm good. I'm off this fight. I do think someone probably gets finished. I think the crowd affects both guys and we'll get a crazy one. But I'm rooting for Jeremiah Wells for sure.
I'm rooting against Philly here. I'm gonna say a little something controversial. I think Wells being 4-0 in the UFC, he might be like one of the worst fighters in recent memory to be 4-0. Like, he's up there with like Joel Alvarez. I'm
He
on
would kill
Harris here.
Joel Alvarez. He would kill Joel Alvarez.
Yeah, matchup wise, I'm just saying the fact that he's 4-0 is pretty bad. Guyana might be the only fighter from Guyana too. Big NYC representation there. Next fight, bantamweight division, Raoni Barcelos, Kyler Phillips. Phillips is favored at -212, Barcelos +182. Let's hear you start this one off.
Wow, good fight here. We haven't seen Kyler in a while, 16 months, 18 months, somewhere around there. Um, I was always, unsure about him as a prospect. Honestly, I thought Song Yadong was going to be him, but then Kyler did a good job of just circling away from Song Yadong's right hand, and somehow he was able to win with that. But I do feel that win it does inflate his stock a bit, just because like Song it was like that fight was just so long ago, and I feel like some of those guys and Kyler specifically is very matchup dependent. There's some matchups where he's gonna just crush, right? And one where he can dictate where the fight goes, or that he could recognize if he's better striker or grappler, because he's so well rounded he's able to exploit wherever your weakness is, I should say. Um, but here against Ione, there's a guy here, very experienced fighter, right? Tyler only really has like 12 fights. I don't think or did he fight on the Ultimate Fight? He was on the Ultimate Fighter or
He did, yeah.
whatever. But league not legally, but on the books it's like 12 fights. So doesn't even have that much UFC experience. Come in here off of 18 months of layoffs. Like what, obviously he's young, right? He's 28, right? He's about to hit like next year is supposed to be his year based on the formula. But this is biting off a little bit more than he could chew potentially early because this guy, Barcelos, he's got tons of UFC experience. He probably has an easier time making the 135 weight class. Like Tyler was juicing. Probably some of that shit is to like help you with the weight cut and shit like that. And then Barcelos has fought these spinny guys like what's his name, Saeed
Saeed.
Nurmagomedov. Yeah, Saeed. So he's kind of like well versed in doing that. Obviously Umar's a fucking killer, dude. Umar's about to be minus like what was he like 300 against Cory Sandhagen. So yeah, he got knocked out. But Kyler, a lot of times, like other than the Paiva fight, he hasn't really shown crazy knockout ability, I feel. Yeah, he throws some fancy strikes, but Raoni Barcelos is a guy that I feel like it's hard to get in a good rhythm against him. Just because he is able to counter, kicks and throw kicks, and he's quick in there as well. He's slowing down a little bit, but I'm getting a nice plus number on this guy. And then as well, I like the goals of distance because I feel both guys are good enough grapplers that the only submission potential is club and sub. There's like positionally, I don't think either guys are gonna submit each other, and then I also think that it's gonna be really hard for Hayoni to hurt Kyler Phillips significantly with a strike. So I like Barcelos money line by decision and the over or the goes distance. Count me in.
Yeah, it looks like the under actually just got bet in the past hour. It was minus 165 for the over. Now it's to 160. I think the over is better at 160 than goes the distance minus 145. I do agree with the over take. I definitely think it goes over more likely than what the line indicates now. The only way I think it goes under is if Barcelos is just like way past his prime and Phillips just has an easy time. But I don't think that's super likely to happen. The pre-fight line I think is good on Barcelos, but I also think we're going to get a better live line because Phillips, just has that style of skirting around the outside, using a lot of movements, darting in and out with the shots, kind of similar to Umar. Definitely not as good as Umar, but I could see the fight looking a little similar. And in that fight, Barcelos, he didn't look horrible, but he just wasn't doing anything to like optimize his chances of winning. He was going, strike for strike with a guy who was much quicker, had way better movement, and Barcelos just wasn't pressuring. He was kind of just hanging out at range, and then it's not really that shocking. He ended up getting caught with that glancing punch and getting knocked out. And there is a chance that Barcelos is just way past his prime because at one point this guy was really good. Back in 2018, 19. His past four fights, some worrisome performance. I mean, he didn't show up at all versus Derek or Victor Henry. He uh, kind of made the fight closer than he should have against Timur Valiev, and then he got knocked out in his last fight. So I think he is showing signs of slowing down. That's why we're getting a good line on him here. And I think I would just wait to live bet Hayoni here. I think he's going to struggle with the movement, the speed of Kyle early. Maybe he works his way into the fight. But I would really want to see two things from Hayoni here before live betting him. Him investing in leg kicks, trying to slow the movement down of Kyler, and just maybe putting on some forward pressure. Because if he gives that optimal kickboxing range to Phillips like he was doing to Umar, I think the fight's not going to go well for him. But Hayoni, really good takedown defense. I think he's defended 13 out of 14 takedowns in the UFC. So without takedowns for Phillips here, I don't think he's gonna sail to that minus 200 price. So I get the people on Hayoni. I think the over is good, like Ozzy said. And that's going to move us along to our next fight, which is the first fight on the main card in the lightweight division. Ignacio Bahamondes taking on Ludovic-Klein here. Odds for this one have Bahamondes minus 225, Ludovic-Klein plus 190. I like Bahamondes here. I bet him minus 190. I was waiting for the line to come in under minus 200. Pull the trigger, and it looks like I did at the right time. I just don't think that Klein has a great chance to win the fight. I think he's going to need to wrestle to win the fight, and I just don't trust his wrestling enough to do so. I don't think he's submitting Bahamondes. So if Klein wants to win, he's going to have to wrestle in multiple rounds. He's going to be at a big height and reach disadvantage here. Klein actually absorbs more strikes than he lands per minute. Bahamondes lands like three more strikes than he gets hit with. So he's got a way better strike differential. And I think just that distance,
Nerd.
the range, the distance of Bahamondes, and just the volume is going to be much better. So I think Bahamondes' takedown defense is getting better. His cardio is always really good. He can push a high pace. Klein got outgassed by Jai Herbert in his last fight, lost round 3 and gotten taken down by Jai Herbert. So I like Bahamondes here. I cap him closer to the current line, 70 to 75%. So I think he should be good. Uh, I don't know about a total. I don't really have a take on that. Maybe you can give some insight on that, Ozzy.
Yeah, well, Jai Herbert's a beast. And I won't take any slander because I mean, people say that you see how you said it. Did you see the interview or not the interview, the clip, whatever post that Jamal Hill posted? Did you see that about Ariel
Oh,
Helwani?
yeah, I did.
Well, what you just did was the same thing, bro, and you're a snake, and I want to call you out on that because you're just throwing slander at my boy Jai Herbert just because he
I
lost.
support Ariel,
Just
by the
because,
way.
just because, just because. Yeah, I bet you do. Because my boy Jai Herbert, he's fought tough competition. Who the fuck has Antonio Bahamondes or Ignacio Bahamondes? Excuse me. Who has he fought, bro? My boy John Herbert fought
The
ZM.
surfboard.
He fought Klein. He fought Topuria. He fought a bunch of tough guys in Cage Warriors. Bahamondes, Zurong, Roosevelt Roberts, Trey Ogden lost the striking match with John McDessie. Let's be
Who would win
honest.
if they
Let's
fought?
be honest. Let's be honest. Ignacio Bahamondes hasn't proved shit. He missed weight in his fucking last fight as well, didn't he? Yeah, he missed weight in his last fight as well. He's missed weight other times before, I believe. So I think that actually Klein's got the superior cardio. Even though like if this
He
guy
didn't
is
miss weight
coming in
last
out,
fight.
if
Last
this
fight was
guy
catch weight.
they baited a catch weight, he wasn't
Yeah.
gonna make one. He wasn't gonna make 155, bro. Who was in on short notice? Is it Trey Ogden?
I don't
That fight
know. I
sucked,
think
dude.
so.
That fight
It did.
that fight sucked. Over half his strikes were leg kicks. So yeah, I do think he's probably gonna win this fight, but this fight is gonna go over. Okay, just because Ignacio, he's so tall that it's gonna be hard for Klein to hit him. Okay, and hit him and kick him in the head, all these kinds of things. So they're gonna just be leg kicking each other for a long time, dude. It's gonna, or Klein's gonna be shooting takedowns on him. And if he is shooting takedowns on him, we'll see. Maybe Klein can win that fight, but I don't think that Bahamondes is gonna get into attacking positions where he could like get chokes and shit like that on Klein. I think he's gonna be on his back or they're gonna be standing. It's gonna be one of the two. It's not gonna be, this fucking fishing for guillotines and all this, nonsense. So it's either gonna be long range kickboxing fight where they're just playing around with each other. Either way, it'll go the distance. But the point is, if you actually look at who Bahamondes has fought, both Jai Herbert and Ludwig Klein have fought much, much, much tougher competition.
I agree with the over. It should go Ignacio.
Bahamondes is bad juice. He is not good juice, dude.
No, that's not true.
He's not good juice.
He will win. He will win. He will
We'll
cash the
see.
ticket.
We'll see.
95% takedown defense. Most of those coming versus the legend Roosevelt Roberts.
Have a look at Preston when Preston Parsons grabbed him.
He fought Bahamondes?
Bro, go to the next fight. Don't embarrass yourself.
Back in the day.
Don't embarrass yourself. Go.
All right, that'll be. Wait, I have one more thing I was gonna say about that fight, but I forget. Let me think of what it is. Oh yeah, the over is good. I do agree with that. And also, I think Klein will probably take him down in round 1, so we're gonna add more on Bahamondes live. Next fight, main card, Tanner Boser, Alexa-Camur, light heavyweight division here. Tanner Boser minus 145, Alexa-Camur coming back plus 125. Long layoff for Camur here, almost 2 years. Any interest or faith in him off the long layoff here?
Absolutely not. No way, no way, Jose. But it seems like I don't know. Is there intel? Is there some people that's saying, "Hey, Kamor's a beast"? Maybe they think that he could do some jujitsu. But I mean, I saw. I saw when he tried to take William Knight's back. That looked horrible. So I'm not bullish on him. Obviously, they say he's a golden glove box. I don't know, dude. I feel like the pace and stuff like that. Like he's never really been good with that. He's probably gonna eat a lot of leg kicks here. And then Boser he got way more dog in him. At the end of the day, he's running on poutine, and you obviously saw that. He's pissed about his UFC sponsorship. But honestly, for a guy, maybe this is his last fight. This is a pretty easy fucking fight, I feel. Because what does Kamor offer, dude? He's like maybe he's a little quicker and athletic in the first round, but dude, if Boser could put his hands on him and stay on his if he's not getting taken down, Boser should be able to tool this guy on the feet. Honestly, is how I feel. Eventually, once we get into the MMA aspect of it, and once he wears down Boser kicks, Kamor's legs a little bit and stuff. But obviously, the line movement's a little spooky. But I kind of want to play Boser, or maybe a little of the over. But I feel like Kamor very possible he just folds, or he goes really hard in the early rounds, early on, either finishes Boser, or if he doesn't, he's definitely getting finished. So I think Bozer's gonna win. So I'm kind of considering a minus 145 play for him.
I'm in the same boat. I am tempted by Boser. I do think the line movement is a little spooky. It could just be people historically overrating Kamur. I mean, he was minus like 250 to Negermanu when he lost there. But I mean, 2 years, 2 months off. Wasn't good before the layoff. Not really training at a big gym. Training with Stipe. And I mean, he's fought 4 guys. I mean, the guys he's beat, Sharon and Ledet, total bums, like literally bottom of the barrel. And then the guys he's lost to, Knight and Nergamano, aren't really that good either. And he lost comprehensively to both of those guys. Um, so I don't have any faith in Kamur here. And I think this line is really relying on like big improvements from Kamur. But I think that's a stupid assumption to make. I know he's young, but I don't think that there's any point in having any faith in him here. I know Bosser's coming off a KO, totally different fight. I just think I think I know where the line is. What it is because if Bosser's 1-4 in his last 5, but close fights. A lot of those guys heavyweights, just totally different matchup here. I think Bosser is good, and Bosser will likely win the fight. Not sure if it'll be by KO or decision. I'll go 2-3 KO. I think it'll probably be a finish, but I agree. Bosser juice is tempting, and I'll likely end up on him here. Next fight is a fun one, highly anticipated one here. Featherweight division, Gavin Tucker, Diego Lopes. Odds for this one have Lopes minus 177, Tucker plus 152. I forget if it's Lopez or Lopes. I'm going with Lopes. Um, but Lopes is probably going to lose here, and I hope he does, because this guy to me just doesn't look very good. I mean, he came in on very short notice versus Ivloyev, and he overperformed in that fight, but still very clearly lost and showed a good amount of weaknesses there. I just think it's something I've said. I really haven't taken an opportunity on profiting from it, but it's something I've noticed recently is that, just whenever there's a fight where it's like an opponent on 1 week's notice, the underdog typically tends to overperform. And I think that's what we saw in that fight. And now the market is really, really respecting Diego Lopes, because he has one UFC fight, a loss, and a decision, and he's favored at almost 65% over a veteran in Gavin Tucker. Now, Tucker's coming off a long layoff, 2-year layoff. He's coming off of getting knocked out. More like 2.5-year layoff actually with the Ige, and he is 37 years old now, but, just rewatching that fight against Quarantillo, man, he looked like a really good fighter in that fight, man. He had a good understanding of all 3 areas of MMA: distance striking, clinch striking, and grappling. He mixed it together really well. Really good clinch attacks with his knees, his elbows, just maneuvering well from distance into the clinch, and I really like what I saw in that fight. And, if that same version of that fighter, or even 70% of that version shows up here, I think he probably should be the favorite over Lopez, because I think his distance striking, clinch striking is better. I think he's the better wrestler. It's just Lopes is a tricky submission guy. He does throw up a lot of subs off his back. If Tucker gets on top here, he will be at risk for getting armbar, getting triangled, maybe leg locked of some sort. But that stuff is all fairly easy to train and for. You know what's coming from this guy. He's had a while to prepare for this opponent. Just drill your submission defense. The guy, watching interviews with him, he watches a lot of tape. He seems like an intelligent guy. So as long as he's not completely shot here off this long layoff, I think he has big upside versus Lopes here, and the price is good enough for me to go in on him. I was a little hesitant when he was plus 115 earlier in the week. Then the Lopes money shot in. Plus 150 is an easy bet on Gavin Tucker here for me. And I hope he can pull it off.
Yeah,
What about you?
I mean, I'm all over Gavin Tucker. Gavin Tucker is probably one of my favorite bets. Probably my favorite bet of the week. And it just a lot of factors into it. Obviously, I am cognizant, one, age gap, and then two, the layoff here. But other than that, man, like Gavin Tucker positionally, right, southpaw, right, amazing, pretty good southpaw angles. For these weight classes, I think one of the best, guys that moving around, people. And I think a style like this Muay Thai kind of, flat foot, straightforward, straight back style like Diego Lopes is like the worst kind of striking style you can have for those guys, and especially when it comes from the southpaw. So Diego Lopes' positioning in the cage usually pretty bad. He doesn't pull the trigger very often, so he's not a volume guy. He backs up straight. A lot of his fights that he's had have been in small, like very, very tiny cages, like that Fury FC cage. I fought in bigger cages than that in like most of my amateur fights. So I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Um, but yeah, so he's really really mobile, energizer bunny on the feet, great left body kick. When he is going for takedowns, he knows the positions to rest in, and he's keeps that body lock pretty good if they are close and in the clinch. And then ground game wise, the guy's a Henzo black belt, so I think he's gonna be pretty safe in terms of getting out of guillotines, and then maybe when he is on top. Now, my biggest worry would be Diego Lopez looking to sweep and getting into top position, getting to the back, or positions like that, because I feel like Gavin probably will at some point look to rush or look to pop up to his feet. And when you got these little tiny dudes, sometimes it's a little easy for the taller guy to get the right angle and be able to slip behind the guy, get a hook, or something of the sort, and establish a back mount or something like that. So on the feet though, I think it's gonna be a blowout. I don't think it's close. I feel like Tucker should be able to avoid most of the strikes that come his way, dictate when the exchanges happen. And if he does need to get a takedown, I think he'll be able to get a takedown. But it's gonna be hard for Diego Lopes to track him down, and I just don't feel he has very good wrestling either. So I think Gavin Tucker should be a smash spot this week. So I'm in on him so far. I think I might add, as the week goes on. But I was ready to play this guy at like plus like 115. So at plus 155, 150, definitely play for sure.
Yeah, Lopes's defense is horrible on the feet. I think he's going to get lit up there. I would actually like Tucker to just keep it standing. I mean, I think Lopes really can only win by like sub off his back. Man, I wouldn't be surprised to see him win any other
Honestly,
way.
yeah. I would
Any
love to for the fight to stay standing. It'd be
Yeah,
that would be. I mean, I think I would cap Tucker a huge favorite if it was only on the feet. If it was a
right.
kickboxing fight, huge favorite.
All right, and that's going to move us along to the next fight, light heavyweight division. Dustin Jacoby, Kennedy, and Nzechukwu. Kennedy minus 159, Jacoby plus 139. Your turn to start this one off here.
Cool fight. This one that is probably one of my favorite ones on the card, just because I do feel it could go both ways. I feel like a lot of the prices here are accurate, but overall, I want to be on the Dustin Jacoby side here. I've respected some of the stuff from Kennedy, but I still feel there's gonna be still setbacks along the way for the guy. Now, some of the grappling, success. Obviously, look, he had grappling success over what's his name, Carl Roberson, who not really a natural 185, 205er, but he looked great in that fight. Wrist riding, he was doing all the right things. In his next fight, he fought a guy in Ian Kutalaba that we predicted. He was like, hey, Ian's gonna probably come out hot, and then Kennedy's gonna finish him. No doubt about it. But I feel like a guy like Dustin Jacoby is just a significant test for Kennedy, because he's a really good kickboxer who's also tall. He's also, big. Obviously, Kennedy's bigger than him, but he's has no problem fighting with range strikers. Very good kicker, invests the body, can fight off the front foot or the back foot. And I do think his grappling has been improving. We saw him against Ian Kudalaba, was able to survive there. Maybe he should have been a little bit more urgent. But I think since then, he has looked to invest in his grappling. He was, over there, they were having like a few of the bigger guys, like train with what's his name, David Taylor, recently working on their wrestling. And I just feel that like that last fight, I think that it was like right at the tip of his tongue for him to get that win over Azama. Obviously, he got clipped there late, but at plus 140, I do think he is the value side here. I think it's a marginal value, not huge, but I do think at minus 140 or plus 140, I would prefer his side. But I also do like the over here as well. I think but I don't usually like playing a total and a side on it on a fight. I do think I'm gonna side with the money line on Jacoby, but TBD have not fully determined yet. But those would be my two leans on the fight at current pricing.
Yeah, I think that Jacoby is a bit different than some of Kennedy's recent opponents because he doesn't really collapse late like some of the guys like Kudalaba and Clark and even Roberson do. So I think he will like stick around for likely the full 15 minutes. I think we probably will see a decision here. But Jacoby, he really has one way to win fights, and that is with his striking. The guy never ever hits takedowns, never really puts a firm stamp on things, especially when the rounds end, when the fight hits the decision. Not a good round winner. Very evident by the fight against Khalil Roundtree, a recent fight of his. He should have won that fight. I mean, I think that was a pretty easy decision for him. Somehow the judges disagreed. Two out of three judges. But that just goes to show that his margins are thin. Lost round one to McCall, lost a round to John Allen. Kind of got a lucky decision over Grisham back in the day. Uh, so it seems like he can be a bit of a slow starter at times. Getting dropped by Murzakanov. He did come back and almost win that one there. But I don't know. I think maybe Jacoby getting towards the tail end of his career, 35 now, long kickboxing career before this. And I don't know, man. I think this price is relatively accurate. I think maybe even Kennedy more of a favorite because Kennedy much younger in terms of age and in fight years, not nearly as much damage. And I just think he's got more ways to win. I think that he could win the fight on the feet. I think he would be the underdog if it stays standing, but he could win the fight on the feet. And then just the takedowns here, I think, one takedown could be a big, big favorite for Kennedy. Jacoby doesn't have bad takedown defense per se, but I think that we could just see Kennedy look like the big favorite. I think that's the clearest upside either guy has in this fight is Kennedy hitting a takedown, getting on top. I would be pretty surprised to see Jacoby have as big of a margin. Maybe he can hit Kennedy with a big punch, but Kennedy pretty hard to put away outside of that Dot and Junk fight. So I like Kennedy. 1 unit bet for me, minus 155. Hopefully he mixes in some takedowns here and takes the easiest path to victory. But that's going to move us along to the co-main event, women's strawweight division here. Tatiana Suarez taking on Jessica Andrade. Suarez, big favorite at minus 410. Andrade plus 310. Former champion Andrade taking on Suarez here. And Suarez moving back down to 115 here. She had that long layoff, came back at 125. Beat Montana De La Rosa pretty easily. Didn't, look amazing there, but also did get the job done. Very safe fashion, did submit her. So hard to take really anything negative from that fight. I mean, she went up a weight class, she finished the fight. It was a 3 or 4 year layoff. She did what she had to do. And I'd be a little more concerned with her here, cutting down that weight for the first time in a while. But Andrade lately has looked horrible, man. It looks like she has been phoning it in. Obviously she beat Laura Murphy last year, but the Aaron Blanchfield fight looks like she literally did not try in that fight at all. Like she had just put up a piss poor effort. Then got knocked out by Yan Shannon just 3 months ago. And Andrade just historically just never done too well against wrestlers. You just saw the way Aaron Blanchfield took her down. She immediately gave up her back. She was tapping right away. She wanted out of that fight right away. And Valentina destroyed her on the ground. Just most of Andrade's weakness has come from wrestlers, and she's facing probably the best female wrestler in the entire sport right now. So I think Tatiana Suarez likely deserves this price of minus 400 here. I mean, she could hit easy takedowns here. And with the way Andrade has been looking to quit lately, that sub could come awfully easy for Suarez here. So I think, Suarez makes it pretty easy here and just hits takedowns, grinds her out, probably submits at some point as well. But the sub prop plus 115, that's pretty bad odds, man. So I don't have any bets I like here. Anything for you at all?
I don't know. I'm skeptical of my shorty Tatiana Suarez here. 115 fight, when these girls go in that there's a reason weight cutting and wrestlers and stuff like that. It's tough for them, to be performing a lot of times they're cutting this massive amount of weight. I just think this is really is really tough. I wouldn't want to invest in this, have this in a parlay where we got the Derek Lewis of women's MMA in Jessica Andrade, right? Crazy power, takes a fight with anyone, what she's bringing to the table, and honestly has a submission game, right? Obviously, right? Obviously, I don't, whatever, but I just think that the fact that this fight is at 115 is a factor that makes me not that bullish on Tatiana. But what I just said, Jessica Andrade by submission, she's a nasty girl, right? We all seen her OnlyFans. She's a nasty gal. And if she has the opportunity to rub it in and get a submission instead of, and flip the tables after clubbing this lady a few times, I feel like Tatiana low key, man, if you scramble her brains around, she's getting tired. Martian, don't you think she could quit? Like,
Yeah,
Some these wrestlers, man, sometimes when they start getting the business world, they be looking for the way out, dude, and that's a submission.
definitely.
That's a submission. Just like who did it happen recently? It happened to whoa, who was it recently that they
A
just gave? Oh,
woman?
well, Michael Chiesa. What am I talking about? Michael Chiesa, this motherfucker. So, um, I wanted 15 to 1. I'm seeing a 13 to 1. But I'm gonna just play that. I'm not usually a guy that I don't like doing the long shot props. I think some people will probably listen to this and be like, "That's fucking stupid." But fuck it, dude. I think. No, what do you think about that prop play, Martian? If we got a 15 to 1 on Andrade by submission.
I would rather take round 2 plus 1,400, round 3 plus 2,000 because in round 1,
Mm.
I don't think Suarez is gonna quit. I don't think she's gonna
That's
get finished.
actually that. You see, hold on, round.
Round
That's
2 plus 1,400, round 3 plus 2,000.
for any finish, any finish.
Either
Yes,
finish,
I
yep.
like that. I like that. Perfect. Great. So I'll load that one up. Very good, Marston. So
Yeah.
that'll be my pick for the fight, just because I feel like if Tatiana's getting these takedowns, and maybe she gets a body triangle, but maybe she gets it a little later in the round, and then she squeezes a little bit, and she can't quite get it or whatever it is, and in that second or third round, hey, Dominic Cruz is talking about it in the I think one of these fights, I forget, where he's like, oh, or I think it was Klein versus Herbert, where I was watching the tape, or someone where he's like, oh, you got to defend three takedowns, three takedowns. So Andrade defends one or two takedowns in that second round. He's really live to finish Tatiana, I think.
Yep. Um, I really enjoyed watching Andrade getting knocked out in person by Yan Shannon. That was a fun one. Um,
Yeah,
main
you're
event
Team
main
China.
eventer.
You're Team China. You're already
No, dude,
building up your credit score.
her walkout song, if you guys look up Yan Shannon walkout song, that shit was a banger, dog. We were dancing to that up in the nosebleeds.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, nice.
catchweight fight in the main event. Cory Sandhagen taking on Rob Font. Very short notice fight for Rob Font. It was supposed to be Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Rob Font pulled his dick out and said, "I'll take the fight on short notice. Main event, 5 rounds against Cory Sandhagen. Short notice, not a problem." Sandhagen minus 350, Rob Font plus 285 here. Your turn to start this one off. Give us your thoughts on the main event.
God damn. So yeah, 140 fight here. I think it's an interesting fight. Um, I am a little surprised that Corey's almost getting to a 4 to 1 favorite. I do think that's a little bit hype and stuff like that, just because I do like what he does. I do think the guy's cerebral. I love how he works in his range and kick game in once he does get flowing, all together. I do like his game, but I do think the guy's a little cocky sometimes, with some of these things. I feel if you could shut down a certain aspect of his game, I do think a lot of it does fall apart. And the fact is that Rob Font, his boxing is, I do think, superior here. I do think he has a better hands here. And as long as he can establish both the jab and the calf kick, because the reason I say both is because Corey, sometimes when he starts like switching these stances and stuff like that, like and shifting as he's throwing strikes at you, I do think that he has a big edge over like people that are like pure boxers like Rob. So you got to kick him as well. So you got to make him a little bit immobile, and the guy doesn't take kicks pretty very well. Like I think it was TJ landed a ton of kicks on him. I thought it was pretty good. But Rob, at range, I think that's solid, and he's good with the counters. But the thing with Corey is he's always kind of like extending out his arms and stuff like that. And in the big cage, I do think he's gonna look to take his time. But I mean, I think the fight should be a lot closer. I feel than the odds are indicating here. But I think it's gonna be a lot of his turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, as opposed to I feel like the Aldo fight, like Aldo was countering this guy a lot. And other what's it called? Rob Font fights would be like he's just throwing offense on you, offense on you, offense on you, and then like he kind of gets dropped. I don't think it's gonna be that kind of fight. I think it's gonna be Corey hits, a little pretty combo, and then Rob throws like two jabs and a leg kick, and then he throws a left hook, and then they go out of range and they're dancing around. So I honestly think the fight's gonna go the distance. I think it's gonna go over, but I kind of don't want to bet it at juice. So if the fight to go the distance goes to plus money, I'm in. If not, I'm out, and then I'll just enjoy this main event. My pick officially will be Corey by decision.
Yeah, this is a great fight. It really is. Obviously, I think knee jerk, you got to think Cory Sandhagen wins the fight, but obviously, we're playing numbers here. I think 77.5% is a bit too high for Cory Sandhagen. I mean, I say a bit, but I think it's probably like 65 to 70% chance for Corey here. So there is significant value on the Rob Font line here. There are much more questions about the intangibles of Rob Font. You have to worry about his durability more, his cardio. He's had pretty good cardio historically, gone the 5 rounds a few times. Only won one of them, I believe. I think he's 1-2, right? Yeah, he lost to Aldo, lost to Vera, and then he beat Cody Garbrandt. In retrospect, the loss to Vera is aging pretty poorly. His durability just let him down in that fight. Took a lot of damage in those 2 fights versus Aldo and versus Vera, and then he got severely underrated versus Yanez in that last fight. But it just showed how good of a striker he is, man. I mean, he got hit in the face a lot in the first, 60 to 90 seconds. But he just figured that fight out so quickly. He was doubling up on his jab. He was getting the collar tie. He was throwing punches off the collar tie in the clinch. And, he just fucking blasted Yanez there and knocked him out. I mean, that's about as cool of a 3-minute fight as you can possibly get, man. That fight rocked. If you haven't rewatched it already, rewatch it this week. And, just minute to minute, like Ozzy was saying, you go, I go. Minute to minute, man, Rob Font is gonna be in there. I mean, I definitely think if somebody is, hurting each other, it's probably more likely to be Sandhagen because Sandhagen's just had crazy durability throughout his career, been insanely hard to actually hurt this guy. While Font, we did see him get dropped 3, 4 times versus Vera and versus Aldo. So the knockdowns definitely got to favor Sandhagen here. In terms of grappling, you don't think that the fight would offer much, but I really could see either guy hitting a takedown here. Both guys have kind of caught their opponents off guard with takedowns from time to time. I'd probably say Font is the better wrestler of the two, but I don't know. I think both of their
They
defensive
both
grappling.
suck. They
I
both
think
suck.
both of the defensive grappling should be good enough to kind of cancel each other out here. So I don't envision any prolonged wrestling success from either. Maybe a flash takedown or two from either one, but it should stay striking for the most part. But Rob Font is just such a good striker that I have a hard time seeing him being a near 3-1 underdog in a fight that should be primarily striking. So, like I said, intangibles, age, speed, cardio, durability, those do favor Corey Sandhagen here. But still, skill for skill, Rob Font is going to be in there that entire time. They're going to be striking. They're going to be lighting each other up with strikes. And if this fight hits the decision, I think it will be close. And then, there is, I think, a good way to play Rob Font here is the decision only on DraftKings. I think if anybody's finishing here, it probably will be Corey. If it does go the full 5 rounds, it should be close. It should slightly favor Corey, but they have Corey as a 3-1 favorite if it hits the decision. So you can get plus 230 on Rob Font for decision only. I like that. And it should hit the later rounds. I haven't bet anything on this fight myself yet. Um, the odds on Corey KO plus 140 on Corey KO. Rob Font has never been knocked out. 26 pro fights, been in the UFC, fit for 9 years, 15 fights in the UFC, never been knocked out, and they're only giving you plus 140 on Sandhagen by KO. That's a shitty bet. That is a really shitty bet. And just looking at that alone, that kind of proves to me that this line is just off. They have Corey Sandhagen at a 40% chance to knock him out when he's never been knocked out in his pro MMA career spanning 10 plus years, 15 UFC fights. So I think the lines are off on money line and probably the goes the distance as well. Wait, Ozzy goes the distance is plus 120 on Bet Online.
Is it?
It is.
Sounds good.
All right.
Sounds like they're banging Corey to finish.
That is true. I don't know. I would be surprised. I would be. I haven't thought about it yet. But we got to do the FMK. We got to do the fuck Mary Kill segment here. I'm gonna come up with some enticing lines for you. And
I got you. I got you. I got you. I got
okay. I
you.
have
You're,
okay.
you're
I'll
good.
go first this time. You can give me my three this time first.
Yes. Okay. So number one, we got Kennedy minus 159. I know you're a Kennedy boy, so we needed to get Nigeria's finest. Their best hope for a new belt. In there for sure. So we got Kennedy in there. We got Cody Durden. For you right there, Martian. And then I'm gonna give you a prop I'm giving you Ignacio Bahamondes by decision, which is plus 150. So you
Mm,
got those three for you, Martian.
those are good. Those are really good, Ozzy. I like these. These are going to be tough. And okay, so the one I gotta marry, the one I like the best of these three,
Mm.
is honestly Ignacio decision. You're getting plus
Ignacio
money.
decision.
Plus
Mm.
money, I think that's the most likely way. The way he sailed to decision versus Trey Ogden makes me think that he'll probably do the same thing here. So I'll go with
Mm.
a marry for that. For the fuck, I gotta go Cody Durden. I gotta go Durden
Mm.
at plus 175. I
The
think that
All
bet would look
American.
good. The All
Dan
American
Levy, watch
wrestler.
out. Watch out. Martian's coming for him. I hope he
And
likes to share.
unfortunately, I have to kill the Nigerian nightmare Kennedy-Nzechukwu.
Wow.
Truly one of my favorite fighters.
Apartheid. Apartheid. It's why you don't trust the white man. You see?
Uh,
You bring the white man into Africa and he kills you right away.
hey,
You introduce him.
I've seen him fight in person 3 times. It might be the
Wow.
most I've ever seen another man fight in person, 3 times.
Wow.
Uh, I truly have been blessed with that privilege.
What's
Oh,
his record? What's his record in those fights,
he
Marshall?
is 2 and 1. He
Two
got
and one.
triangled by Craig. He beat Darko Stosic by decision. Then he submitted um, Devin Clark in his last fight.
Wow, incredible.
Okay, so I got some for you here. I'm gonna
Thank you.
give you. Okay, I got the over 2.5 and Jaime Barcelos Kyler Phillips minus 160.
Sweet.
Next, we have Tanner Boser minus
Wow.
145.
Oh, the Canadian.
And then we have another Canadian, Gavin Tucker,
Oh
money
shit.
line plus 152. 3 bets I know you like. I
Mm.
want to hear you weigh them out. Which one we marrying, which one we killing.
All right, I'm gonna fuck. All right, so Um. I'm gonna marry the over 2.5 in the Gavin in Coyote Barcelos versus Caliphate fight. Two tough guys. I think well rounded, tough to finish either of them. I think that'll get me the best return, the most plus EV. I'm gonna kill Tanner Boser. Tanner Boser, I think he's on Dana White's kill list after his last interview complaining about his sponsorships and telling The Rock to eat a dick. He's probably he's probably gonna end up in a pond in some random place in Canada that no one's ever gonna fucking find him. And then that leaves me to fuck Gavin Tucker, obviously the best looking, and the most tatted, and he's gonna definitely be the one to get fucked. So there we go, and that's it.
I like that.
You got anything for PFL, Martian, for your loyal listeners?
Yes, yeah. I'll give you guys 3 bets
Wow.
uh that are non-UFC bets, okay? They're all on Bet Online. You're gonna have to Bet Online. First one, kickboxing, 1FC, Chingiz Alazov minus 160. Pound for pound number 1 kickboxer in the world right now. Taking on another
Mm,
good guy in Morocco Gorian, but I gotta go Alazov.
mm,
Next one. This is in, I believe, PFL. Anthony
mm,
Ivy under. The Anthony Ivy
mm.
under. The guy fights like a crazy guy. He's fighting some hillbilly who also fights like a crazy man.
He's
Under
fighting a
minus
hard man.
130.
He's fighting a hard man. So,
Exactly. A hard
well,
man.
that might be tough to get that hard man out of there in 1.5. But Anthony Ivy, he's the guy for it. He's the man for the job.
And last one is the American female Kai Bennett taking on Chelsea Hackett. Chelsea Hackett,
Wow,
Ozzy, I don't know if you remember, her, got finished
I
by
do, I do.
Victoria Leonardo back in the
Hmm.
day. So those are my 3 winners. Any winners for you?
No, I'm very interested in the Gabriel Braga versus Chris Wade fight. But as we know, as a birdie once told me, Chris Wade is married to like the president's daughter, PFL. So, I never bet against Chris Wade because they got fuckery going on over there. But I'm surprised that over is minus 220. I feel like a finish could happen there, but no bets for me. I got Kainan Duarte over
Yes, I
Marigal.
was just gonna mention that.
Yes.
I saw you mention that. Is that still at
That's
plus
next
1?
week though. My bad. That's next week, yes.
Oh,
But
okay.
But
Okay,
yeah, it's
well,
plus 135. It's plus 135.
that is good. Okay, well,
Yeah, I like him. I like him. This will be the podcast won't come out before. I got him. Or no, actually, we would record another one, so whatever. But I got him. My bad. But that'll
Oh,
that'll do it.
All good. Those are some winners there. All right, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all enjoy the fights. Win some bets this weekend. We'll see you all before the next UFC event next week. Peace out, everyone.